My wife is divorcing me. She's saying it's what God wants. But the truth is, she wants to marry my stepfather. Yeah, you heard that correctly. And the only reason I know this is because I overheard a conversation, and then I caught her, red-handed. Just wait till I expose to everybody how nasty this woman is. Oh, and I'm not forgetting about my stepfather. He has it coming. I've been sitting in my car for a few hours. Sorry if there's any errors. I'm on my mobile phone. Also, this is very long, so I understand if you don't want to read it or if you don't get into any comments. I mostly just need to type this out for my own personal sanity at this point. I'm a 31-year-old male. My mother divorced my bio father when I was about 8. About 1 year later, got into a relationship with another man, Kyle. She had 3 kids at the time, myself and my 2 brothers. He didn't mind. He's very wealthy and owns multiple businesses, and we eventually moved into his big mansion. I also had a better school there. We were 3 siblings, and we got our own rooms. I got better clothing, played video games for the first time in my life, and a bunch of other things. Honestly, he was a really good man, and treated us like his own children. He spent a lot of time with the 3 of us, and my brothers eventually started calling him Dad. I followed shortly after, and I remember him crying and hugging us and telling us that he loved us when we called him Dad for the first time. Mom and he eventually got married. Mom stayed at home to take care of us, and as far as I knew, they were very happy together. They went on dates at least once in 2 weeks and kissed each other all the time, and always told each other that they loved one another. I was happy that Mom had finally found someone who treated her well. I was also very happy for myself and my siblings and really loved Kyle. He also said that he would pay for college for the 3 of us. My dream was to become a management consultant, and I never thought it would be possible because, MBA is expensive. I was so happy. Mom also told me that she was very lucky to have found him, and she loved him and was very grateful for how he had made her and our lives better. However, sadly, my mom, she died when I was 16 due to chronic illness. Needless to say, it's been pretty hard on the family. We all went into a dark spiral. Kyle became depressed and turned to alcohol, spending a lot of money on the booze and rum, and I know he was depressed because he told me. One day we were in the car and he had a very deep, serious talk. He said that since Mom passed away, he's been struggling with this feeling of emptiness. After that, I started helping him around the house, and he taught me a lot of useful things, and I like to help him and hang out with him. We went fishing, we cooked together and watched movies together, went out to eat, went bowling, and even took holidays together sometimes. Despite all that, he kept going. Sober, drunk, hospitalized, drunk, sober, treatment, and it was over and over and over. He would stay sober for a few months, but then start drinking and go on benders. I tried to help him get out of this cycle and tried to get him a therapist, but he didn't want help, and said that he would just figure it out himself. One day, we went to my grandparents' place. Kyle proceeded to get heavily drunk there, and then went on raging rants about how I was making him feel horrible about himself. I sat him down on the couch and went to get him a glass of water when I heard a big loud thud. I came back and he had fallen face down onto the carpet, already practically snoring, so I helped him back up. I laid him down and called it a night. The next day, he did not remember a single moment of any of this. His drinking problem negatively impacted me in so many ways. I was sick of dealing with this crap, so I gave up on him and joined uni in Philadelphia. It wasn't until a year after I forgave him. I met my ex-wife, Harper. She's now 30 years of age, and I met her in my freshman year, and we were both in the same dorm that we were eventually going to meet. We later found out that we lived just 2 towns away from one another, so whenever we went back home, I let her drive to me. It was only about 20 minutes, so it was no big deal at all. After multiple trips and hanging out at college, we started to go on dates. At this time, she got to know Kyle, who seemed to get along very well with her, but I did not think much of it as I was just glad that they got along. I was a year ahead of her, so when I graduated, I returned home and was offered a good job in management, with great pay. I visit her at college whenever I got the chance. Whenever she came home, we would make time for each other. Watch some movies, attend church. She was kinda supportive and very open and honest with me. We had dates often, and our lovemaking life was great. We had a few arguments, but we managed to communicate and come up with an understanding before long. After she graduated, she was offered a position at the same company where I work. We moved out together and into a very nice apartment. After living together for about 3 years, she proposed, and we started planning our wedding. However, my middle brother kept telling me that there was something off, but he had a tendency to worry always, so I didn't believe him and we went ahead with the wedding. Looking back, there were plenty of things I overlooked, thinking Kyle was just trying to welcome Harper into our family. Things like him calling her all the time, and if I was around, they would just tell me that they were talking about the upcoming family party or something similar. One time, Harper was in the shower and her phone rang. I saw that it was Kyle, so I answered, and when he realized it was me, he sounded both upset and surprised that I picked up. So, I then go ahead and just straight up ask him, "What's up?" And he responded that he wants to talk to Harper about my brother's big birthday, which was in a week. After a minute, we ended the call, and even typing this out now, I feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. When Harper was pregnant with our daughter, now 4 years of age, I noticed that she and Kyle were getting very close. They joked around a lot and hung out, and I did not think much of it other than, oh great, they're friends, and left it at that. After our daughter was born, Harper was in and out a lot of pain and soreness from her stitches, so Kyle helped her around the house. He was just glad to do whatever she needed and gave us our space whenever it was wanted. Last year, Kyle asked for help remodeling his house a bit. Harper suggested that we stayed at his house for the week, and I agreed. They both really hit it off, and as I'm not very good with renovation-related stuff, I ended up going with my youngest brother in the evening to bond with him. While Harper helped Kyle with the remodeling, her family's involved in the construction and engineering world, so she knew much more about it and how to help fix up the house. They seemed to be really close that week, aka, sharing jokes, laughing a lot, and just having super animated conversations when I wasn't around, but I didn't think much of it because I assumed that she was just being nice to my stepdad. I trusted my wife. Even after the house was finished, they kept hanging out. I noticed that she was coming home way later than normal and she was taking the train instead of having me pick her up. She kept saying library at first before she admitted to going to Kyle's place to help clean, since I wasn't much help in terms of helping Kyle fix up the place. During the Christmas party, he's been drinking too much and sat in his car to avoid my youngest brother's teasing. At some point, he asked Harper to come and talk to me, and they ended up going somewhere. Harper got home really late, I would say around 1 a.m. even, and went to shower. She always took long showers, a minimum of 45 minutes and sometimes even longer. I always joke that she would use up all the city's water with how long she showered. As she was in the middle of her shower, her phone pinged and vibrated. It did this like 4 to 5 times in a few minutes. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but it was so abnormal. So I tapped her screen, just to see what it was, and I recognized the number. It was from Kyle. He sent multiple MMS messages, with pictures attached to them. Pictures of Harper laughing and a few close-ups of rings on their hands. I was shocked. My brain was mixing up with rage, sadness, and straight-up disgust. I couldn't move. I considered Kyle my father, and seeing those images shattered me. After about 5 minutes, he sent me a message. "Hey, I'm not sure if I want to go forward with getting married on paper. Let's talk in person tomorrow." Well, I took extended screenshots of all the messages between them, and it took a few minutes, and then I mailed them to myself. There was also months of photos, heart emojis, blocks of text about how Harper's body is hot, and the need for him to drain his, man parts. How they should basically be together, including very specific things that had occurred to them. I did not go through everything because I only had about a couple of minutes before she came for her phone. Plus, I did not have the heart to read them, to be honest with you. And, I felt like reading it all would just make it worse for me. I already felt broken and empty, and I thought that we were happy. I always treated her right and listened to her, and she was the best thing to ever happen to me. And before her, my life was just going on autopilot. I left the scene but did not reveal I saw this. I could not sleep, so I lied to Harper, and there was a sudden work emergency that required an overnight stay at a colleague's place. One of my friends was so lovely that he let me stay at his place for the night. It was over there where I cried my eyes out. It felt like my heart's been absolutely ripped from my chest. Needless to say, I was so ducking mad. Update number 1. Let me continue the story in this update because it's already a long post. So I took a few days off work the following morning and went to his house. And of course you can assume how it went. I forgot to put the message on unread, so I guess Harper knew I saw the message and she was already there when I arrived. As soon as I saw Kyle, I hit him square in the jaw. His head completely just bounced off the door and he slumped on the ground. Harper shrieked and I asked, "Are you ducking kidding me?" Well, they were mad. You're concerned about your little buddy, but have nothing to say to your own husband. She told me what happened, and I was furious. In the car, Kyle proposed to her, and they drove to the church, and they got married unofficially. They had to ask a church pastor, whose wife happened to be a friend of Kyle, if they could have a traditional spiritual binding ceremony without the legal aspect of getting married. He agreed. She said that she was just doing it to make Kyle happy because he was lonely and had been nice to her. Kyle got up after about a minute and said, It's been happening for a long time. I do apologize and understand if you don't want anything to do with me at this point. I don't want much to do with myself. Again, I apologize to you, and I'm willing to face any consequences. I love you, and trust I won't be a problem much longer, one way or the other. Goodbye, if that's what you choose. As he was spouting out his BS, Harper was crying silently, holding her little head and whispering, "I'm sorry." Well, I questioned her why she didn't tell me, and her reply was, "To not hurt your feelings." What? Well, after she finished making excuse after excuse, she dropped a bomb on me a couple of days back. She found out that she was pregnant and Kyle was probably the father. I was seething inside, and I seriously wanted to harm them both, but I managed to keep myself composed enough to ask what she wanted to do with the baby. She wants to keep the baby because of our religion. We're Catholic, so it frowns upon getting rid of the baby, which was funny to me, so I asked her if being Catholic frowns upon cheating, to which she silently started to sob. Kyle said that he wanted her to keep the child and give it to, an active father, which he failed to provide for me and my brothers. He asked me to simply forgive him in the name of our renewed relationship. You know what I told him? I told him to duck off. I said, "You're dead to me and you're no longer my stepfather, but you might want to talk to my brothers because I'll be talking to them very soon." I told my a-hole of an ex that I would pack her things and she should just simply come over and pack it when I was finished. Her mom came over and picked up all her belongings. And well, she actually sent her mom to do this. I let her in and she had gotten the full story. She was sorry for everything and hoped that I would get through this. Harper's parents are more mad at her than I am, and I hate Kyle the most because he was like a father figure to me, but messed up my wife by doing that to her? He had been blowing up my phone, asking for forgiveness and to reconsider everything, but I could not talk to him, so I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. He called the cops because he was worried I might actually harm myself. Thanks for this concern, Kyle, for my mental health, but maybe you should have considered that before, ducking my wife. So I got 2 officers at my door who told me they received an urgent call from Kyle, worried I might harm myself, and I told the officers I was not and explained what happened. And they both looked disgusted and apologized for bothering me. The look of pity from the officers made me feel even worse. I felt ashamed having to tell these 2 guys, not sure why I felt so ashamed, but I did. The next day, Harper told me she got a spiritual confirmation that divorce was what she should do, because maybe that's what God wants. Well, I was heartbroken. She told me that she felt their union was real and sanctioned by God. She said no chance of reconciliation and she wanted a divorce as quick as possible. She agreed to take none of the marital assets to get me to agree, and she and Kyle both figured that they could make the money back quickly with his well-off business. Because of that, she did not want half of what she could have in the divorce, and she told me that I could keep the house, and that she would not even touch my retirement or investments in any of the divorce paperwork. She didn't even request a visitation. She was very condescending, actually, to me, and talked about being friends once everything was over. My response to that, no one wants to be friends with you after what you did, obviously. She then blackmailed me by accusing me of some pretty ducked up crap if I told anyone she cheated, as she was trying to keep up the image of being a good Christian woman. I think I'm at my wit's end seeing how things are going to happen right now, and I don't know if I should be heartbroken, angry, or simply numb. Please tell me if you have any suggestions, guys. Update number 2. Thank you for reading so far. Here I am with another update. Recently, as I was going through my old laptop, I noticed bookmarks in my browser that were not mine. Kyle had used my laptop to check email and had somehow accidentally synced his logins from his tablet. I checked his Facebook. It turns out the dude's a serial cheater. He's been cheating on Harper from day one, and there were multiple women I counted. I mean, multiple. At least 20 over the last decade. He even secretly married 9 women, promising them to have their public wedding, which never happened. Sound familiar, right? I took screenshots of everything, but decided not to reveal it to Harper until the divorce was finalized. The divorce was completed sooner than I expected, and I was awarded a one-time lump sum, a large amount of money, payable within 60 days. When we walked out of the courtroom, Harper told me that I might have won in terms of the divorce, but she got herself a better man, taller, more muscles, and making much more money. That's when I told her about how adamant Kyle has actually been, about being head over heels and married to not 1, not 2, but at least 9 different women that he's actually been spinning these lies to. Kyle denies everything until after I told Harper that, you know what, I have screenshots if she wants to see them. She was shocked and asked for the screenshots right away, and Kyle broke down and admitted that, he was very unfaithful. He admitted to all his counts of being unfaithful to her by talking to other women online and telling them he was interested in them. However, he claimed that he did not marry any of them. He took her to a corner so they could just chit-chat and talk. It erupted into a giant fight, and they left in the car. So, when I get to the office the next day, I must have looked awful, because my boss started asking what was wrong with me, and I told her it was nothing and I would be okay, but she insisted I shared my divorce and was just finalized and that Harper was involved with my stepdad. She asked if there was anything she could do, suggesting I take some time off, but I told her that I'm okay, and she just needed a minute and would be fine for the meeting. The meeting went over pretty good, and I put a smile for everyone like nothing happened. My boss came to me after the meeting and said that she was going to report Harper to HR. A month ago, about a week before the lump sum was due to me, Harper has been strutting around that morning because the CEO unexpectedly asked a video conference with her. She told everyone that her talent had finally been recognized and that she was getting a promotion. Instead, the CEO fired her. They took her security badge, they went over to a lady's desk who was mad at the company for meddling in an employee's personal life and told her that she could gather her crap and get out too. Harper freaked out and tried to get out of paying the lump sum since she was no longer employed, but the court stood firm. I was given the massive lump sum payment. A couple days back, Harper texted me asking for a settlement outside of court. She seemed desperate and begged me to show some compassion because she just lost her job, and apparently Kyle took off to Boston, alone. He decided that he didn't want any part of a 30-year-old woman who's comfortable having an affair with her husband's emotional compromised stepdad. She had to leave his big house and move into a single apartment bedroom. I ended up messaging her, telling her, "Duck you. You deserve what you got, don't contact me again," and then I blocked her before she could even finish typing her message. Thank you for reading. I'm sorry I carried on so much, but it was therapeutic getting everything down. Basically, I just needed some outside perspective because this is ducked up. I've heard of stuff like this, but I never thought anything like this would happen to me. Update number 3. Hey everyone, sorry I've been MIA for a while. First, I want to apologize to those who have worried about me for the past few months. I want you to know every moment and message and comment did not fall on deaf ears. I took all of your advice, and to the ones who think it's fake, I wish I was this creative. I would write a book instead of working a 9-to-5 job. After my last post, I slept in my car for a few hours and tried to go back to work. I spent the entire day overthinking and crying. Then I decided to get the ball rolling on everything that needed to be done, like moving, buying a new bed and couch, finding therapy, etc. Harper's perfume smell in my previous house was a bit of a trigger for me, so I sold the house and got in touch with my middle brother's real estate agent friend. He sent me a ton of listings, and I decided on a refurbished cabin on the outskirts of my city to be near my grandparents and raise my little girl. I finished moving a month ago, a fresh start, if you will. No one knows where we live, no other than my brothers, so I know Harper or Kyle won't be dropping by. Also, with the money I received from the divorce, I purchased several investment properties and put them all in a trust for my daughter. My daughter's an extremely perceptive person, so when Harper moved out, she knew something was different and kept asking for her mommy. During the divorce, she was becoming more aware of the situation and was in a why stage of development. She asked if she left because she doesn't love us anymore. I held it together for a few moments, and then I had my cry in the bathroom alone. I was not prepared to explain to her why her parents were divorcing. I then explained to her in simple terms that people make choices that can hurt others, and that's what Mommy has done, some very poor choices. It really upset her for a few weeks, but everything's become almost normal a few months later. Recently, I cried in front of her over everything. She could tell something was wrong and asked me about it, so I told her I missed Mommy, and I lost it. She kissed me and hugged me and told me I was the best daddy. Thankfully, the people at work have morals, and lots of people have huge issues with Harper's infidelity and her decision to abandon her daughter. My boss from my previous post has been trying to check in on me more and more, but I don't really tell her anything other than I appreciate it, but I'll be okay. Truth is, I don't know if I will actually be okay. I get that time heals, but I feel like that's only relevant when you're dealing with one issue. Not when you lose who you thought you were two closest people in your life all at once. A huge part of me died, and there's no chance of resuscitating it. My youngest brother took it the hardest because he basically only had Kyle as a father figure, since he was too young at the time to remember living with our biological dad. He's absolutely destroyed. He told me that he doesn't feel like working, and he took 2 weeks of vacation time off, and just seemingly randomly getting brought to tears. My middle brother is trying to act normal. We've been talking like usual, but I feel like he's just kind of numb and deep down still in denial about the entire situation. Many of you wanted me to go public and tell everyone. Well, I don't have to because Harper took care of that for me. She told her now former best friend, Ruby, expecting a bit of sympathy. Instead, Ruby raged at her, and now many of her friends and mine are fully aware of what happened. Ruby called me and we spoke for over an hour. Apparently, whatever angry thought I've had regarding Harper is nothing compared to what she and her friends felt, because Harper remains baffled that nobody can understand her point of views. She was so in love. They have completely cut her off and even asked her if she slept with any of their fathers. I also met Kyle. Yep. We spoke in person, and honestly, the reason we spoke is that I wanted to pick up some of my mom's things from his house, including her wedding ring. I even had my friends with me just in case I felt the urge to punch Kyle. I told Kyle that I was taking this, and he did not argue. I gave him my wedding ring, not expensive, and honestly, I did not know what I was going to do with it anyways. It was like me saying, "Hey buddy, you see this ring? Yeah, you don't even deserve the memory of Mom." She would be disgusted by it. But this ring? Oh, this ring is as worthless as you are, and you deserve it. He made no attempt at small talk, and my friend was just walking very close by me, like he was expecting me to attack him and was ready to restrain me if I had to. Kyle just looked at me, and it dawned upon him just how badly he messed up. So I hopped into the car and left and felt a lot better. So that's the update. Now, Harper's dumped by all of her friends and her BFF with whom I have become good friends. Ruby has supported me and we've kept talking on the phone. She's been cheated on herself, but she could not even begin to imagine what I went through. Update number 4. Hey, I'm writing this update to let everybody know I'm doing good and give you the lowdown on what's been happening. More people have now found out what transpired, and Harper has lost a huge part of her inner circle. I also made it clear to my other friends that if they want to contact her and talk to her, it doesn't bother me, as I don't want to control anyone or make anybody feel like they have to stay away from her because of me. Her parents have essentially disowned her, and most of her family won't even say a word to her. The ones that still speak to her live in another state. Kyle has a lot of friends, and his relatives turned their backs on him because they know how much I loved him. How I was always there for him, and how I tried to help him overcome his depression, and for him to cheat with my wife, they cannot look at him the same. I started talking more to Ruby. Ruby became my best friend, and now she's my girlfriend. She comforts me like a mom and guides me like a father. We're both self-employed and work about 40 hours a week. However, we still manage to spend lots of quality time with my daughter. She's surrounded by people who all adore her. She lives a beautiful life far away from the women who did not want her. Almost a year after finalizing the divorce, and after she heard about me dating again, is when she decided that she wanted me back. Well, I see her driving around my neighborhood and driving around in front of my home. She lives about 10 miles away and really has no business being on my side of town. She tried reaching out on various platforms wanting to speak, and I just told her that I could not keep going through all this. She starts calling me from different numbers at this point, telling me how sorry she was and that she messed up, and she asked for forgiveness and told me how she wished that we were still together. She swore that she's a changed person with breakthrough therapy, books, seminars, yada yada yada. I don't doubt she's sorry, I don't. But sorry for all the wrong reasons. She's sorry that she lost her cushy little lifestyle and her reputation, not because she humiliated and betrayed me. I don't want her back. I don't trust her. And frankly, I don't have much respect for her either. I saw her recently when I took my daughter out to breakfast. Her car was all smashed in the front, and apparently during one of our last heated phone conversations, she was upset and crying, and rear-ended another vehicle. She hurt her back and neck pretty badly and had to have multiple surgeries. She had the nerve to try to guilt me into coming to take care of her. I burst out laughing. Turns out she really thinks I'm going to come to her rescue and we can have some wonderful life together. No, I'll pass. She then shamelessly asked me whether or not I would help raise her 1.5-year-old son, to which I told her to go duck off. I was so mad that I told her if she came near me, then I would probably hit her. She continued to beg me to help the kid and the name of our religion and told me it's wrong for me to refuse, so I told my daughter to go inside and explore the menu. Then I warned Harper that if she did not stop, I'm getting the cops involved. That day, my daughter said that she wants us all to live together. I clenched my jaw, held back the tears, and then calmly explained that she would get 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays. Well, that helped her be a more understanding of it. Double the presents, double the parents. Update number 5. Hey, I just decided to post one final update since I've been bombarded with questions about how I'm doing and if anything's happened. Kyle and Harper have not contacted me at all, and they've left me alone. Kyle, he's still an alcoholic. I only know what I know from mutual acquaintances who mention things, and he took a young girl out on a date. It was a walk on a rocky trail near a lake. 5 minutes in, he slipped on a rock and split his cheek wide open. Had to get some stitches. He's also been accused of embezzling money from real estate investors, and everything he owns, it's gone. I'm talking house, cars, bank accounts. They even tracked down his secret accounts and emptied them. He's getting sued for more, and the best of all, he has boobs now. A bad case of gynecomastia. I know now the universe has my back. So, to summarize this up, guys, well, I'm doing okay. Still seeing a therapist once a week, and the meetings are going well, I suppose. I've never done therapy before, so I have no reference on what the good therapy is. We do get along all right, and she seems genuine in wanting to help. To the people who've supported me through this, I truly thank you. I can't even stress enough, when I was at the lowest I've ever been, it was internet strangers who were there for me. So, once again, thank you. I mean, guys, I could not believe this story when I was reading it. I mean, come on. How much more toxic of a human being can we get? Harper is insane. At least the stepfather was showing some remorse and basically realized the giant mistake he's made. But it just seemed like Harper was only mad because she got caught. She was even trying to say, hey, I don't want to pay this lump sum of money for the alimony. And besides that, she lost her job, she lost Kyle, her older lover, and she lost OP. She lost everybody. So at the end of the day, even though she's the one that hurt so many people, she's the one that was hurting the most, and it's all her fault. Let me know your thoughts about today's story, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate animations like this every single day. And if you guys want to be a part of these daily drama readings, subscribe to the channel. It does help support it, and I appreciate each and every subscriber, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.